Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento. And in today's episode, you not just get one great guest, you get two great guests, two guys who I think epitomize so many of the incredible traits that it requires to be a successful entrepreneur. Not only a successful entrepreneur, but what I love about today's two guests is that they are growing their own successful businesses while also taking the time and care and attention to help others succeed as well. So today's guests, their names are Jamie Kostelac and Aaron Farris. Jamie and Aaron together are the co-founders of the Titan Group. The Titan Group provides comprehensive business assistance that includes researching potential businesses or franchise opportunities, obtaining financing for business-related purchases. So if one of your objections is, well, I don't have any money or resources to do these things, Aaron and Jamie together help people with that. They develop business plans and marketing strategies. They also provide ongoing guidance and support for business owners who are looking to keep their businesses profitable and successful. They personally have had, they were telling me a little bit off the air, tremendous success in the junk removal industry, which I'm so excited for you to hear from them directly about how, regardless of what your background is, regardless of what skills you have or may not have, there are entrepreneurial opportunities for you. So they are living proof of it. They've got incredible stories themselves of resilience, of persistence, of drive, determination, dedication. I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Aaron Farris and Jamie Kostelac. All right, Aaron and Jamie. It's funny. In the intro, I already slipped and I called you guys Amy together, but it is what it is. Welcome to the show, you guys.
My man. No, thank you for having us.
Heck yeah, super excited for you both to be here. And I want to kick things off because I know that you both have incredible entrepreneurial stories yourselves. So take us beyond the bio. I'm going to kick it to you at first, Aaron, and then Jamie, follow his lead. Give us some backstory. Who the heck are you guys? How'd you end up doing all these incredible things?
Yeah, well, first off with me, just always had that entrepreneurial mindset. Didn't grow up with a whole lot, so just kind of one of those things of just having that natural hustler mentality. So, literally buying candy bars when I was little, going door to door with my brother, convincing people to buy them for $1 a piece. This is when we were buying them for like 30 cents a piece or something. So, when I was in college, started my own personal training company, doing in-home personal training. Found some good success with that, but just other than that, just natural salesman, right? I love the art of sales. I love the challenge of sales. So I've always just had that sales background. From there, started with a company that kind of taught us how to take over businesses and rebuild them, and just kind of following the same kind of structure, right? It's building out a vision, having a great vision, finding the right people in the right place, building systems and processes, right? Building a sales culture with it, and just found super great success. And I was able to take over just multiple companies that were struggling, just changing the marketing, changing the management, changing the culture, and we were able to find super great success. So a couple examples. Took over a junk removal business in Reno, Nevada. They were hitting about $400,000 a year. Year one, we were able to take it to $1.6 million. From there, went to Indianapolis, Indiana. Took over another junk removal company. And this is one of the largest franchise systems. And these were broken systems, right? So we were able to take that over. They're hitting about $550,000 a year. Year one, we took it up to $2.4 million. From there, went to Atlanta. And keep in mind, I was also helping other franchisees find their success as well, right? Training, developing people for that franchise system and our group. So from there, went to Atlanta. Atlanta was hitting about $6.7 million with 3 different franchises. We were able to take it to $12 million year one. And then Naples, Florida was kind of the last one that I helped with. And Naples was hitting about $800,000 a year. I think the GM down there ended up taking it to $3.3 million. So from there, talking to Jamie, and I was like, dude, like, we're building an empire for other people. Like, we had ownership, we had our hand in it pretty heavy, and we were making great money, but we're just building somebody else's legacy for them. So we just started talking. We're like, dude, like, let's do this for ourselves, right? This company that we had joined, They were only about a $500 million company when we joined, and I became their very first partner out there. And when we left, it was about a $150 million company. And that was all within 8 years. So talking to Jamie, I was like, dude, I really think that we could build this empire ourselves. And so we did it. We jumped, right? And we jumped, and we've had just crazy success. And I won't go too much into it without ruining everything. So I'll throw it up to Jamie.
Yep. And my background was, growing up, sports was really my identity, and the competitiveness of that, being on different teams, building essentially, there's so many parallels with business and sports that at that time I didn't realize. So I went to Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas, and played football there. And then when I got done, had a couple of jobs, but I had aspirations to be a firefighter. And so I went through that process of getting certified, and I was waiting for that opportunity to join, but then I ended up getting a job with the same company. And what I noticed is in business, how there's so many similarities between, coming together as a team in sports, and then also building a culture and creating that competitive environment in business. And if you know how to do that the right way, you're able to get maximum effort out of individuals, people coming into the office excited. They're really, they enjoy the team aspect. So to me, that was a huge passion for me. And with my business, Oklahoma City was, so there's 156 franchises in the system, and it was in dead last. So it had been in business for about 12, 13 years. And I remember when I took over at one of the corporate meetings, someone told me that there was no way that market was ever going to hit 1 million. And we were able to achieve that in under 4 years. And that's because of the culture we had to fight, claw, market, get out there and explain how the service works. But in doing that, we were able to have a lot of success. We're able to become top performers in the franchise system for 5 consecutive years. And then when I had that success, I had the corporate team actually reach out for me to consult franchises of all sizes, some that were 5 times larger than my market. They just wanted them to understand the culture and how I approach business and wanted to teach with that. So as far as the passion with consulting, what I noticed was, on top of running a business, getting out in the field, hauling junk every day with my guys, when I had people fly into Oklahoma City, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I consider the position that Aaron and I in as teachers. So when you've got people coming in who are trying to get better that aren't necessarily a part of your organization, I could go all day long doing that stuff, because if someone's wanting to get better, they just need that recipe to do that. Aaron and I have been able to perfect the system and teach that to other people. And as long as you follow that system, you're able to have that success. But it starts with your people and having that vision, that career path, and you pouring into them development. That's what's going to yield the results. A lot of people try to put the business on their back personally and just run through employees, but Aaron and I will spend more time than anyone on just getting people not only better at selling, but just try to make them better individuals and understand that we're all in this together. And it's not something that's so much individual, you got to get yours by any means necessary. It's we're going to do this together. So by us doing that, we've been able to have a lot of success.
Yeah, it's fun for me getting to talk to both of you here today because, Jamie, to piggyback off that last point that you made, that you and Aaron are more willing than most to invest in people, the thing that I see from the two of you is that you both also are just absolutely convinced that growth is an opportunity. Whereas a lot of people look at business, and Aaron, you talked about not coming from an entrepreneurial background. It's something I can 1,000,000% relate with you on. And so a lot of people will look at that and they'll say, well, I don't have resources. I don't have connections. I don't have all of these things. And they come up with a million different excuses as to why it might not work, why, dare I say, it can't work. Whereas the two of you just seem to have this innate belief of, hey, we're going to figure it out. We may not know all of these things, but maybe it's the teacher mindset where it comes from that learning background. Who knows where it comes from? But I want to hear it from the two of you. What gives you that belief? Because I feel like this is something that facilitates that growth, and growth isn't possible without this innate belief that you two carry with you.
Yep. I think the biggest thing is that we believe that we control our own destiny, right? So being proactive with every single thing. There's a lot of, businesses that will sit down and they'll look at their Gantt or their schedule and sit there and be like, oh, today's going to be slow. And they'll sit there and just literally pray that somebody calls in or something like that. And it's like, no, you go out and you create your own success. Like, you just have to have that mindset that I control this destiny, and I'm going to influence today, whether I'm going to go out and, shake hands, go knock on doors, or whether I'm going to call 1 million people. Like my success is because I was willing to take that jump, right? So, and that's what we tell people, like, if you sit back and just hope that something falls in your lap, it's never going to fall in your lap, right? Like, you can't believe that in luck, right? Like, you have to believe in that you're going to go out and take that shit. So I know Jamie's got a lot to say with this one as well, so I'll let him take that.
Yeah, and Aaron mentioned it earlier, but when people use their upbringing or certain things as an excuse for why they can't accomplish something, Aaron and I both, he had mentioned it earlier, like there's not wealth in our family. We don't come from a bloodline of entrepreneurs. We're two guys who grew up and had to fight and claw for everything that we got. And we're in the position that we're in because of that belief that Aaron spoke of, is we're going to do whatever it takes to win. And if there's a problem, there's an answer to it. We might not have it right away, but we're going to figure it out. So definitely a proactive mindset versus reacting to things. That's why we create high-level systems and processes. So that way, when problems do occur, we've got a protocol to handle that versus things coming at us left and right, and we're not really knowing how to handle that. So that also ties into people development to alleviate a lot of that issue. You pour into people, less problems. Obviously, problems will occur, but if you have those systems and processes, then you're going to be able to navigate those and obviously minimize damage to your bottom line.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about those systems and processes. But before we get there, I want to ask you a question that I think I've probably only asked it ever before in about 2 out of our 900 episodes to date in this podcast history. And that is, can anyone be an entrepreneur? Because it seems to me, in looking at this story that you guys have, I'm going to throw this word into the mix, which is just hustle. You two are living proof that if you hustle and if you've got that drive and determination and consistency, and there's a lot of stuff that comes behind that needs to support it, including the systems and processes that we'll for sure talk about. But let's look at the junk removal market, for example. You guys are making a killing in multiple geographic regions all across the country because it's something that consumers have a need for, and you're able to satisfy that need. It's something that doesn't require, incredible SEO experience, that doesn't require the best graphic design, for example. So with that in mind, I don't know how you guys are going to answer this question. Can anyone be an entrepreneur? Walk us through that.
Yep, I'll jump on that first. So I'll even take it back to a podcast that I watched a long time ago with Grant Cardone in it, and they asked him the same thing. They're like, what's the type of employee that you want, or what's the type of guy that you look for to work for your company? And he said, I have thousands of people that try to work for me. And he's like, of the thousands of people, he's like, I got people with all this experience, or I have these people that went to Harvard and they have this great education. He's like, but there's one quality that I look for over everything else. He's like, it's hunger. He's like, I will take a hungry person that will sit there and dedicate themselves and sacrifice themselves and push themselves to be the best over all the experience in the world or all the education in the world. He's like, hunger trumps everything. And I think that's what it is, right? If you have a hunger, you can absolutely be an entrepreneur. If you don't have that hunger, you could have all the experience in the world. You can have all the education in the world. Don't do it. Like, you'll fail. Like, 90% of entrepreneurs fail because they don't have that hunger. They're not willing to sacrifice. They're not willing to grind. I'm the first one in. I'm the last one to leave. I sacrifice my family. I love my family more than anything in the world, but I sacrifice because I want to be successful, and I want to be successful for them. I want that generational wealth that I'll pass on for generation after generation after generation. I have a deeper hunger than anybody I've ever met. And Jamie has that same quality, and that's why we align so well. So hunger is the number one thing. If you have hunger, you can absolutely be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I'd say there's 2 things for me kind of tying into hunger is just being passionate. So a lot of people they'll research a market that they're like, hey, the margins are really good here, or hey, it's a growing market that there's a lot of potential. If you're not passionate about what you do, then that right there, like, someone is in that industry, and that's who's going to roll over on you and to be able to dominate the market. That's the thing about Aaron and I is, we will not accept anything other than being the best, but that's because of the effort that goes into us being successful. And if we're doing all the right things as far as being the first one in, the last one to leave, setting an example for people, like mentorship towards our people is the most important part of what we do. Like, we can't expect a standard that we don't set and show forth to the guys, because then at that point, people aren't going to follow. So that's something with Aaron and I, like when we started our first businesses, for a full year, it was 7 days a week. And then I was able to continue to build my team outward and then, work 6 days and then get to 5. But then there's also times it is 7 days. So whatever the business needs. But I would say if you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, like, you got to be resilient as well, because you're going to get kicked in the teeth so many different times. Like, everyone expects it to just be, hey, I'm starting this business, it's going to be smooth, there's going to be crazy growth, and then it's just going to be in flow state. You're going to get kicked in the mouth so many times, but if you're confident in yourself, and I guess that stems from who you are as a person and how you feel, because, even when I was in college and I didn't really know exactly how my career was going to shake out, I just had this belief internally that there was more to my story than just being a number, which there's nothing wrong with that mindset. But, if you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, then you've got to have that internal belief that there's more for me than just having a job and being in that corporate 9 to 5 and just maybe at some point I can move into a management role. Like, you got to have big dreams. You got to have a lot of belief in yourself, and then, eventually things will fall into place. But that passion, resiliency, to me, is non-negotiables for you to be successful, because there's a lot of people that don't have that, but that's a part of a lot of the small businesses that fail within their first year.
Yeah, I really appreciate hearing both of you talk about that, because I feel like on business podcasts and on YouTube videos and inside business books, everyone wants to talk about if you have the right marketing channels, if you have the right this, then things are going to click. But it's kind of like in sports, Jamie, to really bring it back to another sports analogy, is that what's that saying about hard work beats talent every time when talent doesn't work hard? And we see it in sports. How many professional athletes have all the talent in the world, but they don't have these intangibles that you guys are reminding us about here today? So I think it's really important message for all of our listeners, whether they're in the entrepreneurial phase or in the entrepreneurial phase. It's incredibly important. And when you marry that with the strategies, with the systems, with the processes that now I want to go into with you guys, it just seems to me like you both, with your own career experience as well as your entrepreneurial experience, you've identified those key pillars of growth. And I really want to hone in on that word, because when I think about the work that you two do, it all comes down to that growth, whether it's personal growth, financial growth, business growth. It comes back to that. With Titan Group, you've laid it out. You've got your marketing arm, you've got your consulting and strategic arm, you've got your brokering arm, your recruiting arm. There's so much that I can tell is strategic and intentional behind the Titan Group. Talk to us about those pillars of growth that you've identified so that you can lift others up and help them succeed as well.
Yep. So one thing that I'll kind of hit on, I mentioned this before, like, vision is one of the biggest things, right? Like, you have to have a very strong vision. You have to believe in that vision. You have to set up like a painted picture or an intentional path of how you're going to get there as well. And you got to when you're hiring and developing people, you need to hire people that have that same vision as you, that they're aligned with that vision. Otherwise, they're not the right person for you. But one of the big things that Jamie and I do is we have 4 core values that we really, really, really stand by. And those core values are everything to us. With every single business that we take over, we really try to push those core values. And our 4 core values is relationships. With relationships, it's not just like the relationships with your employees, right? It's the relationships with your partners, with your networking groups. It's relationships with your customers. We always tell people, revenue means a lot when you're trying to grow a business, and profitability means a lot, but not at the expense of a customer, a relationship with the customer, right? That relationship with the customer is what's going to grow that business and keep that business growing for the rest of eternity, right? So relationships is just such a powerful core value of ours. Integrity, making sure that our guys are doing the right thing, whether someone's watching or not, knowing that we can rely on our guys, that we can bet our jobs or our careers or our lives on our guys because they have the utmost integrity. It's professionalism. We want to be the Cadillacs, and it's not just junk removal, right? We've had our hand in multiple home services, demolition, moving, maid service, power washing, the pool service. We've had great success in all of those. The pool service was insanely successful. And junk removal has just been kind of a gold mine for us. So, but being the Cadillacs of the junk removal service, being the Cadillacs of the maid service, being the Cadillacs of the demolition service. It's making sure that our guys are in full uniform. It's making sure that it's yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. It's making sure that we're not cussing on site. It's knowing that we are always professional, whether someone's watching or not. And then the energy. No one wants to work with a dickhead. No one wants to work with someone that just is that meh. So it's just having the utmost energy when you come in and being able to be that radiant ray of sunshine in someone's dark day. So having empathy and stuff like that, understanding someone's situation is just knowing that we can be that ball of light for somebody. And those core values right there have shown us a way to be super successful with every business that we've taken over. And I'll let kind of Jamie hit a little bit more on the systems and processes because that's his baby.
Yep. I mean, just to add to that a little bit, though, with any person who comes into the organization, rather it be orientation day or if they're in their first week in the business, it's making sure that there's clarity in what it takes to get to the next step. Because in a lot of businesses that we've consulted, we notice that there's not that clarity to where guys come in and then they get, maybe a day or two and then they're just thrown out in the field. Sometimes they get onboarded and they're out in the field the same day. So that individual, as the owner of the business, you got to understand that if you've got 50 people, you need to understand all 50 of those individuals in the business and what makes them tick. So just like with customers, we get as granular as understanding customer types. And, if someone is this type of customer, then this is how they need to be addressed. And the same goes with your guys and your teammates. So if someone, they're more money motivated, someone else might be more motivated because they want to buy a car. They're wanting to build wealth for their family. Whatever the situation may be, maybe someone just wants to be accepted by an employer because they've had bad experiences in the past. Whatever that motivator is, you got to understand each individual on a personal enough level to where you know how to motivate that person. Because if you just give a broad stroke approach to every single individual, then results are going to vary. But if you know your people inside and out, then you're going to be able to get those results to help push that person to places that they've never been. And to me, that's one of the biggest thrills in business is, you bring someone in who might not know where they're going in life. They might seem lost. They might not have had a support system in their background, or where, just by hearing positive words from you, that's something new to them. And it just sparks this hunger from them to keep wanting to get that satisfaction. So being that mentor to individuals, you got to have that relationship with them, though. And unfortunately in business, there's a lot of owners who, they definitely want to show I'm the owner and you work for me, to where Aaron and I, we're very intense with business, but our guys know at the end of the day that we care about them and we're going to do whatever it takes for them to be successful, but we will hold you accountable if you don't follow through with the systems and processes.
Yeah, it sounds to me like, having the chance to talk to you both today, you both have such a strong emphasis on the team. And I feel like that's one of the mistakes I know I personally made, and a lot of entrepreneurs, and for sure all the entrepreneurs out there, that we all make, is that we hesitate to invest in people. We hesitate to invest in these additional resources. But of course, these are part of the pillars of growth behind it. I'd love to hear from your perspective, because you all have worked not only in your own businesses, but you've helped other business owners. And so with that in mind, what are some of those mistakes, whether it's resources, whether it's waiting too long to hire a team? What are some of those mistakes that you see other people making inside the world of business that you all have either learned firsthand the hard way through your own experiences, or that you've seen the positive side of, that when you've done the counter to that, you've fostered your own growth on a more accelerated fashion? What are some of those things that you've seen?
God, a lot. Man, where do I start? There's hundreds of mistakes that you see in just different businesses, right? We've taken over businesses that are, we literally just took over a business that just hit 1.2 million last year, and they lost over $120,000. So usually what we do is we dig into it and we try to figure out why. Why are we losing money? Why, what things that, do we need to jump on right away? And to answer your question, I think a lot of it is kind of like you said, development, right? Most people don't know how to develop their people the correct way. So when you hire somebody, in this example was, they would hire somebody, they do 2 days of training. So they would put somebody out in the trucks for a day, show them how to do it. The next day, they take them out in the trucks and they have to do it. And then their training's completely done. Compared to us, like our training could last up to 3 months before you're allowed to run a crew yourself. So development just is everything, and just the lack of development can destroy a business so fast. I think having no vision and no intentional path of how somebody can grow. So like a career path, right? A lot of companies that we take over, there's no career path. So you're just hiring somebody, and then it's just a wage thing, right? So you're hiring somebody for $15 an hour. They're unhappy. They want to walk away. Okay, how about I pay you $17 an hour? Oh, they're unhappy. I want to walk away. How about I pay you $20 an hour? Next thing you know, you're paying these guys $25, $30 an hour, and they're still miserable because they don't understand how they're growing. Again, going back to another podcast that I watched a long time ago, it was talking about Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett would always be the last person that would interview some higher up positions, and he would give them two options. Option A was you were capped at like $150,000 a year. You were the top of the very top. There's a ceiling. You could not grow anymore, but you were the boss. And then option B was you were only getting paid $70,000 a year, but there was opportunity to grow into 90, opportunity to grow into 110, to 130, to 150, to 170. There was no ceiling, and you could just keep growing and growing and growing. He said, anybody that chose that option A, I don't want you. Anybody that chooses option B, I want you because you want opportunity, and opportunity is everything, right? And that's what's going to keep guys motivated and inspired. But yeah, not investing into your team will make somebody fail very, very quickly. And I could go on and on and on of other things, but I'll just kind of hit on that one. And I'll let Jamie kind of take it from there.
Yeah, same thing. There's quite a bit, but I think one that a lot of people listening are going to be able to relate to more is being vulnerable with yourself and knowing what you're not good at and making sure that someone complements your weakness. So Aaron and I both, we're both very high energy, passionate with winning, but we both have things that we're exceptional at that we have more of a passion geared towards, and it complements each other very well. You don't want to have two people that have the exact same strengths and weaknesses leading the organization, because then there's going to be holes in your game because someone's not exceptional in that area. So understanding immediately as to, okay, this is what I'm good at, and this is what I'm not good at, and I don't really want to put in the time into this certain area. I need to find someone that has as much passion towards that area as I do this one. And then from there, as you continue to scale your organization, you'll notice the bigger you get that, hey, there's a certain area that's lacking as well. And making sure that you have someone that's not just able to complete tasks, but own that role and be exceptional at it. And that's how you're able to scale outward. But what we've noticed is a lot of businesses just have one person wearing 10 different hats, and there's no development. They say they don't have time for development of their people, to where, to be honest with you, all your help's in the building. Like if you develop people inside of your organization, that's the best people you want running different departments. You don't want to hire. There are good instances we've seen with businesses that they bring outside help for higher, level positions. But with our businesses, we always want it to be something that's someone who's worked up the ranks and they understand every facet of the business. Aaron and I both started out as $10 an hour with commission and profit sharing tips in our first role, but then we worked up and progressed to every level of the business. So not only are we able to lead and mentor people, but we understand when a problem happens, we've been in that situation versus almost a guessing game. So, your help is in the building. It's just up to you to put in, that investment, giving that, painted picture, that clear vision for people like, hey, if you're able to work your way up the ranks, like this could be something, you could be my right-hand man. Or if you have expansion strategy, being able to run a market yourself. But just understanding that the next, your right-hand man could be working for you at an entry-level position right now. It's just pouring into those people and helping them, find motivation and see the opportunity in being in the business. Is this a job or a career? Yep. And that's something that Aaron and I always make sure of, is that we want everyone who comes into our organization to understand, this is a career. And if they think it's a job, it's going to be treated as such. And we want people to think long-term investment when they join Titan.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that overview, you guys. I'm going to add one more thing into the mix because I feel like this is something that I'm going to blame society on this. And the way that we were all raised here in the US is that a lot of times we've been trained to look for permission. And I think that's one thing that separates us as entrepreneurs is we don't wait for permission. And I can definitely see it in the two of you's story is that you don't wait for any of this permission, whether that's to start, to grow, to enter a new market, to acquire a new business, to look for financing and resources to make another business happen. It just seems to me like you guys don't wait for permission. So for all of those listeners out there that you have been waiting for permission in different ways, hopefully this episode is that permission that you've been looking for. And you guys, I want to ask you, knowing that you work with other people who want to get into the game, you work with entrepreneurs at all different levels of growth. What does that look like for people who have finally gotten over that hump and they say, you know what, I don't need to wait for permission. I'm going to just start this thing. Someone might be sitting there saying, well, junk removal business, that's needed in my market. I live in Boston, for example. I want to do that, but who am I to do that? Give them permission, you guys. Talk to us about what the beginning looks like and what actually is required for someone to start saying, forget permission, I'm just going for it.
Yeah, so I'll go to a saying that we have, and it's something that we believe in wholeheartedly is never press snooze, right? So you take that literal, in the morning, you set your alarm, right? Your alarm goes off and you just press snooze. What you're doing is you're delaying your day, you're delaying your day, you're delaying your day. And it's kind of the same thing in life, right? So I always, jokingly, I'm always telling people like, oh, I'm going to start my diet Monday. And, but the thing is if you want to change your body, right? What do? You start working out, you change your diet, but you don't sit there and put a date in mind of like, oh, cool, I'm going to do this next Monday. And then what happens is next Monday comes because you press snooze on it and you all of a sudden you have another excuse why you're not going to do it. So if I say I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle, I'm starting right then and there. Right then and there. I'm not going to press snooze. I'm going to literally get this going and stuff. So it's kind of the same thing in life, especially with being an entrepreneur. It's having that courage to take that leap, right? So if you're sitting there, let's just say that you're working for a power washing company, right? And you're like, God, I'm one of the best power washers out here. I'm really good at networking. I'm thinking about maybe starting my own power washing company. Just do it. Otherwise, what's going to happen is here in 6 months, you're going to sit there and be talking about the same thing. Like, oh, I wish I would have did this back then. I'm thinking about still doing it. But eventually, let's just say that you eventually do it 2 years later and you eventually finally have the courage to walk away from it. That was 2 years that you just built somebody else's empire for them. That was 2 years that you could have been networking and building your own company. Because that's the thing is when you jump into something, you have to be willing to sacrifice and grind for 2 years. Like you're realistically not going to be a profitable company for the first 2 years. You're going to have to live off of bare minimum stuff and you're going to have to be out there building your business. But after 2 years, you've built something beautiful and you have that revenue coming in every single month and you have the relationships and you have the contracts and stuff like that. And it's actually a legit business that's actually been built because you've branded and you've built that name. So stop pressing snooze and just take that leap of faith. And again, you got to wholeheartedly believe in it. You have to be passionate, as Jamie mentioned earlier, and you have to have that hunger, but take that leap and fucking grind, man.
Yep. I would definitely say with, in two instances here in the last 7 years with Aaron and I, when we first joined our previous company, like there's a lot of risk. Like we put every dollar that we had, which wasn't much at the time, just to get our opportunity owning a franchise within the organization. And then, we had put in years and years of sweat equity, blood equity, you name it, tears, all of it to build those businesses. But then we reached a point that Aaron had mentioned it earlier about building, someone else's empire. Well, we walked away from security, and something that, in all honesty, had we, stayed there, we would be set for life. But it didn't satisfy our hunger for what we wanted to accomplish because we wanted to be at the controls of offering people opportunity. We believed in ourselves enough to say, you know what? We can definitely break off, work together, and build our own empire. Like you got to have that belief. And, going into that, you've got to create a business plan. You got to understand the market you're getting into, the industry you're getting into. You got to have that confidence, but you also got to, do research and understand what you're getting into because there's nuance in every market that you get into. But It's better to go in prepared and talk to people that have experience in that industry, understand that specific city, like get everything lined up before you dive in. And then once you do, if you've got that confidence in yourself, you can accomplish anything. You got to understand that development comes first. And if you are a servant style leader, you're a lot more successful than being a boss. Keep that in mind as you sacrifice, your team does not just work for you and take orders all day long. Like, you as a leader have to show them that you're willing to do whatever it takes for them to be successful, rather it be spending extra time in their development. If there's something on a personal level, I used to have guys come in at 6 a.m. just to vent about issues about their personal life, and we would talk about it because it's like, I care about you more than just as an employee. So invest in your people. Fortune favors the bold. You've got to be hungry and bet on yourself.
Yep. I do want to hit one more thing on there, because just listening to that, it almost sounds like Jamie and I are contradicting each other, right? So when I'm saying don't press snooze, Jamie's 100% right? You don't jump in without being prepared. And this is where consulting comes in, calling the Titan group, or having a great mentor and stuff like that, understanding the business before you just jump out. Because that is how a lot of people fail, is they think that, oh man, I'm out here working for a company that's making $5 million a year and I'm pulling in $1 million a year for them. I could just pull that in for myself. But if you don't understand the marketing, if you don't understand how to develop people, you don't understand how to recruit and develop those guys, then you will fail, right? So you can't just walk away from a business and all of a sudden start making the $1 million yourself. You need to understand business, and you need to understand that. So, once you have that background, once you have that base built up, that's when you jump, right? Because again, you don't want to do all that work and then build somebody else's legacy and stuff. So 100% agree with Jamie, and then quit making excuses. Kind of like Jamie said, we were in a great position when we left the organization that we were in. But even to get into that organization, we both had to borrow money, right? We had to borrow money. We had to literally dig out our complete savings to invest into a franchise. And it was a struggle. Literally, I was living off $50,000 a year, moved. My wife and I were sitting there thinking, how are we going to live off this? How are we going to do this? But we just knew that it was worth the grind. It was worth the sacrifice. And then when we walked away from it, I was making over $500,000 a year. And I remember going to my wife saying, I want to walk away from this to build my own empire. And my wife's like, you're crazy. But again, there's no excuses. If you believe in it and you know for a fact and you have the confidence that you can be successful with it, it's worth it in the end. And that's the best thing in the world, is Jamie and I are in a better position now than we ever imagined we'd be in. And now we can actually help other people. So if you don't have that right mentor, if you don't have that person that can teach you that kind of stuff, call us. And we've got your back 100%, because more than just wanting us to build up an empire and make revenue and stuff like that, we truly love helping people. And that's a big passion of ours.
Yeah.
Boom. So much actionable wisdom and advice right there. And Aaron, I'm going to piggyback onto that. I actually don't think that it's contradictory, because I think that it really illuminates the fact that too many entrepreneurs, and pretty much every entrepreneur, is waiting to have 100% preparation. And I think when we combine the two mindsets and perspectives that you both just gave us, it really is, you said it perfectly, Aaron. I think building that base, that foundation through which we can operate on, and then don't hit snooze. Go take action, because we're never going to be 100% prepared. We need to just start doing, and that's when we're going to actually start getting a heck of a lot more of that preparation that we're looking for. So you guys have been a wealth of knowledge in so many different ways. I feel like you also have brought that mindset shift and perspective that I know is going to force listeners to look inwards, because these are, I used the word before, the intangibles that's going to make or break our success as business owners. And Aaron, you gave me the perfect segue into dropping those links for you guys, because if people do want to go deeper into this, I think that you have such a wealth of knowledge to share, not only from a strategic perspective and access to resource perspective, but also I think it's been on display here today, the personal development, the professional development and team development aspect of that. Drop those links on us for listeners who want to go deeper into the Titan group. I love the fact that you guys call it the Titan Way, which is a little bit of a teaser about your links. So drop those links on us, guys.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Website is www.thetitanway.com. And if you guys visit there, it gives a breakdown of all the services that we offer. You can email us. We'll even provide you with our personal numbers to anyone who's listening, because even if you're not, in a financial position to take on consulting right now, like if just a conversation, like Aaron and I, like you said a minute ago, like we truly love helping other people. So if it's something that you're eventually wanting to get into, but you just want to learn a little bit more about, how our system works, or, what value we can bring your business, we'll take that phone call any day. Anything we can do to help, as long as, whatever individual's calling has the intention of helping other people grow as well, we'll do whatever we can to help you.
Absolutely.
Listeners, you already know the drill. We are making it as easy as possible for you to find that link down below in the show notes, wherever it is that you're tuning into today's episode. Super easy to find the Titan group. Just go to thetitanway.com. You'll find that link down below. You can click right on through to it. We're also linking to Aaron and Jamie's personal LinkedIns if you want to reach out to them and continue that conversation on a really personal level. You heard Jamie tout right there how personal they are, because both of them have put it on display here how much they want to be of service. You'll also find a contact form directly on the homepage of their website. So don't be shy, thetitanway.com. Otherwise, Jamie, Aaron, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been a blessing.
Thanks for having us.